Welcome to Terrifying Tales, the channel dedicated to bringing you the original horror stories from CJ Knight. If you like what you hear, please feel free to like and drop a comment down below, and make sure you subscribe to get the notification for the next episode. The Town That Died. We should head back, James pleaded as the sun dropped below the horizon. It's getting cold. Are those goosebumps really from the cold, James? Rose asked, a smirk appearing on her face. James ignored the question and pulled the zipper of his coat further up. He was an old soul for 17 and not used to law breaking. We have no permission to be here, he said. What if we get caught? Permission? Rose whispered. Do you see anyone around to ask? The sign on the road, Rose, James replied. Trespassers will be prosecuted. What do you think, Lily? Lily knew they would drag her into this bickering at some point. They always did. Honestly, I don't care, but it's cold, she said. Ha! Way to fence sit, Lil, Rose laughed. I swear you say that every time James loses his nerve. Her laughter echoed loudly through the dilapidated street. We have a long walk back to my car, James said. At least 40 minutes, and we don't have torches. Rose rolled her eyes. I have my phone, James. Would you like me to call your mummy and have her drop off your blankie and nightlight? Lily could see the fury burning in James's eyes at the jab. James should be used to Rose using such remarks to get her own way, but this was different. Under the flush of embarrassment, Lily could see more. The fear in those eyes was not of a 17-year-old. A fear reminiscent of a child terrified of the monster hiding in the closet. Lily shared his unease. She was still only 16, but less quick to scare than James. The three would often venture to supposedly haunted locations, looking to uncover the mystery. Previous adventures had always been uneventful, and she often laughed afterward, usually at how scared James had been. That wouldn't be the case tonight. Tonight was different. As darkness descended over the distant hills, the accompanying breeze brought goosebumps to her skin. The first drops of rain lifted her gaze to the deep purple clouds above. Step by step she marched on the disused road, one in dire need of repair, taking her further and further from civilization and further from the safety of James's car. The icy breeze set a rusty swing in motion. The wine pitched through the air, as if in agony at moving. Lily felt something watching her since entering the remnants of the once lived-in town. The stained and broken windows of each derelict home watching her like eyes, watching with a stare of detest. James felt it too. Lily wanted nothing more than to run hell-bent back to the safety of James's car. But that was not something you share with certain friends, especially a friend like Rose. Rose, now 17, was the youngest of three sisters. She'd been treated cruelly by them, teased relentlessly. As is often the case, Rose had grown to be just as cruel. With no younger siblings to torment, she found an easy target in James. Even though Lily was guilty of never sticking up for James, she wouldn't risk trading places with him. You still haven't answered me, Rose began. Do you also want to leave like chicken shit here? Or are you a fellow girl of action? She folded her arms as she waited for Lily to answer. It's starting to rain. Maybe we should just come back tomorrow, Lily suggested. I don't believe this. I expect this from him. But not from you, Lily. Oh, calm down, mental case, James fired back. We said we'd get a picture of us at the school playground, Rose said. She stepped forward to close the gap between them. So that's what we're going to do. Even if I have to drag you both by the hair. She struck an imposing figure for one so young. Rarely had Rose experienced the feeling of being stood up. Her blue eyes and wavy blonde hair had afforded her the ability to also sweet-talk her way to getting what she wanted, if she felt the mind to. James and Lily meekly stared at the road to avoid the fury in Rose's gaze. They knew tonight would not be the night Rose did not get her way. James took his first tentative step forward and Lily followed. Good. It'll be fun anyway, Rose said, honey returning to her voice. James, wishing he were anywhere else in the world, took to taking in his surroundings, hoping to suppress the overwhelming scream of fear inside his mind, the fear telling him to run. The ramshackle homes of rotting weatherboards and matching overgrown lawns made way for rows of shops suffering from the same level of neglect. He imagined what each shop would have looked like before the accident. First was Thompson's Hardware, or at least James thought it was. The faded blue sign with yellow lettering sat eerily above the boarded up front window display. The sight only seemed to increase the fear he felt. With the day gone and no street lighting, he decided it wouldn't be possible to see much of the faded signs anyway. Do you actually know where we're going, Rose? He mumbled. In a way, Rose said, her eyes darting from side to side. It's this way, she said, turning left, then changing her mind and turning right. James was too busy watching his feet to sense the change in her voice, but Lily noticed. She also noticed something she'd never seen in Rose's eyes before. She couldn't be certain, but Lily thought it was fear. What's up with you? Lily asked. Rose's eyes were still dancing from side to side. I think we need to get out of here, she whispered so James wouldn't hear. Lily met Rose's eyes. Even in the darkness, her suspicions were now confirmed. She saw fear in her eyes. The storm clouds stopped even the small amount of light the stars would offer. The temperature dropped again, and the rain started. Why are you whispering? Lily asked. I haven't pointed it out because James is already terrified, but I swear I'm hearing footsteps that aren't ours. They're creeping closer. Lily looked back at Rose. Listen. Rose held Lily still. At first they only heard the gentle shuffle of James's sneakers behind them. But Lily's eyes grew wide to match Rose's as she heard the other sound, softer than James's footsteps, but undeniably the sound of another set on the road. Moving slow and deliberate, but definitely moving closer towards them. James, do you think you could get us back to the car without going back the way we came? The question caught James off guard. I think it's time we leave this place. I'm not sure. Probably not, James shrugged, looking up for the first time in a while. I haven't really been paying attention to where we're going. It's dark now and I've never been here before. He'd heard the fear in Lily's voice, but the fear in Rose's eyes hit him hard. He'd known this girl since she was 5. This was the first time he'd seen that look in her eyes. The chime of a small bell rang with the creak of a door in the darkness. The wind slammed the door shut again. A low moan floated through the air. James was unsure whether it was a trick of the wind or something he didn't want to meet. Let's just take a left at the next intersection and try and work our way back, he said, shivering as he stepped past the girls. Rose fell in behind him, treading as lightly as she could manage. Her ears were now focused behind them, listening to the footfalls. Did I imagine it, she wondered? The trio turned left to find they'd departed the small business district. Again they were caught in the dark narrow between rows of derelict houses. Shattered and dirty windows stared at them over the tall dead grass of their run-down weatherboard faces. Rose hoped they were as vacant as their appearance suggested. Lily's facial expression remained pained in concentration. I can't wait to get back to the car and get the hell out of here. James stopped in front of them without warning. You sure about that, Lily? He asked as Rose and Lily stopped by his side. Rose stared out at the darkness in front of them. The swing set swayed gently in the breeze and called an unwarm welcome as the rust of the chains cried out as if the movement caused pain. Well, it couldn't hurt to do what we came to do on the way back, right? She asked. Her voice had less confidence than the others had ever heard. We can probably cut through the school to shorten the trip back to the car anyway. Rose pushed through the small metal gate of the school boundary. The grass here was as overgrown as the yards they'd passed. Lily reluctantly followed through the gate. James stood frozen on the road. "What are you going to do, James? Walk through the town on your own and meet us back at the car?" Rose yelled as she sat on the swing, her confidence returning with renewed vigour. James gave no reply, but took his first steps through the gate to join them. "Well, let's do whatever you want to do here, Rose, and just keep moving," Lily said. James brushed past her in a ward of his own. "Hey, you okay?" she asked, grabbing him by the arm. The look of terror on his face unnerved her. She was used to seeing James scared, but this was different. Despite the darkness, she could tell his face had lost all colour. "When we're out on the street, Lily," he whispered. "What, James?" she asked. "Someone else is out there in the dark. I heard footsteps walking toward me from behind. We have to leave. I don't want to meet whatever's out there." "What are you two chatting about?" Rose asked as she twisted the chain of the swing to turn herself from side to side. "I'm going to find a way through the school, Rose. Hurry up and take your damn photos," James said. Rose was too shocked to answer. James had never been that stern with her. James strode through the long grass towards the other side of the school. "What's his problem?" Rose muttered. "Okay, Lily. I was thinking we could climb up on that jungle gym and take a few photos of me from the top of the slide." Lily could see not far from the swings was a tall faded plastic playset. The top level was completely enclosed. One entrance in the far side from a ladder and one exit from the slide opposite the swing set. The plastic looked weathered and ready to give way. "Are you serious? That thing will collapse if I get in there." "No, it won't," Rose fired back. "Look, do you want to leave or not? The sooner we get a couple of photos, the sooner we can leave this place behind." It was no use arguing, Lily thought. They'd be here all night. Rose wouldn't leave now until she had her photos. She looked up again at the plastic playground. Anyone could be hiding up there in the dark, her brain screamed. She took a final pleading glance at Rose. "Go on," Rose snapped. "Then we go?" Lily asked. "Yes," Rose said. Lily shuffled to the ladder and stared up at the dark opening above. She pulled her phone from her pocket. She already knew the answer, but hoped she would have phone reception. She didn't. The thought that she could have called for help if she needed would have made her feel better. She turned the phone's torch on and placed it between her teeth. She angled it upward. The opening above was empty. So far so good, she thought. She climbed the first rungs of the ladder and paused at the top. She knew the next rung would reveal the entire enclosed space. If someone's waiting for me in the dark, I'll soon find out, she thought. "Hurry up!" Rose yelled from the swing below. Lily found her courage and pulled her head through the opening. She panned the area and breathed an audible sigh of relief. Faded yellow plastic panels were all that waited for her at the top. Lily heard Rose cry out in the darkness. "Is someone out there? James, is that you?" Lily turned the phone torch off and crept across the plastic towards the opening at the side. The top of the slide. The plastic buckled as she crawled, but thankfully it supported her weight. The rain picked up. The sound of the drops hitting the plastic echoed in Lily's ears. Through the opening, she could see Rose on the swing, searching the darkness. Without any light, Lily couldn't see any further than the grass in front of them. The grass, Lily thought to herself. When we were on the road, we could hear footsteps. Over the breeze and rain, we wouldn't hear anyone coming through the grass. Lily dared not creep any further, hoping the darkness inside the play equipment concealed her from whatever was out there. She tried to focus. She opened her mouth to call down to Rose, but no words came out. "Can you see anyone out there, Lily?" Rose asked as she turned towards the slide. "Are you still up there?" A shadowy figure appeared at the grass's edge behind Rose. It was too dark for Lily to make out any features, only that it was tall and gaunt. The black shape stepped forward with purpose. Lily wanted to warn Rose, wanted to tell her to turn around. Surely it was what she must do as her friend, but all Lily could do was watch. Rose turned her head as the figure neared her, but it was too late. The figure slammed its hands down on Rose's shoulders and bit down hard on her neck. Rose let out an ear-piercing scream as the figure ripped her from the swing to the ground. Her scream cut out as the figure bit down hard, this time on her throat. Lily dared not to breathe as she watched more figures emerge from the darkness. She didn't feel her bladder give way, only aware once she felt the warm puddle from beneath her. Closing her eyes, she listened to her friend being devoured by whatever those things were. She covered her ears with her hands. Unaware of how much time had passed, Lily opened her eyes. It was still dark out. Thunder shook the plastic of the play equipment. She removed her hands from her ears. Silence. More time passed. Lily found the courage to creep forward. In a crumpled heap alone under the swing was what remained of Rose. Lily remained staring from the top of the slide until she remembered James was still out there somewhere. With all the courage she could muster, she slid down the slide. Fear took hold, but not the paralysing kind. She sprinted from the playground in the direction she'd seen James take. The rain whipped at her face. She passed the brick building that she thought was a classroom. As soon as she was around the building, she saw the school boundary fence. It was on the other side of the school oval. The oval grass was waist high. On the far side of the school building, Lily saw a group of dark figures. She couldn't see their eyes, but she felt them on her. Lightning ripped through the sky. Their eyes appeared to glow in the light. They sprang to life and began staggering toward her. She screamed as she ran toward the fence. Breath left her as she hit the ground hard, tripped by something unseen in the tall grass. She turned to stare at James. His head rolled over to meet her stare. The look of terror seen on his face earlier, still etched on his face. Panic caught in her throat as a low moan escaped his lips. Lily crawled away from James, staying below the line of the grass. Footsteps were all around her, searching. She couldn't tell where they were, or where they weren't anymore. She couldn't tell which direction the boundary fence to freedom was. Too scared to stick her head out of the grass to get her bearings, she rolled onto her back. Thunder roared through the sky as the icy rain fell. Lily felt tears rolling down her cheeks. The salty taste touched her lips. She lifted her hand to wipe them away and felt the wet stickiness in her hands. She knew the smell, the metallic copper smell, James's blood. As the surrounding footsteps closed in, Lily stared at the sky above and waited.